day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Join Cliff Views Online with George Davis this Thursday, March 26 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast from the College of Agriculture, Science and Education in Portland for Research Day 2026 under the theme Advancing Resilient and Sovereign Food Systems Through Research, Innovation and Disaster Risk Reduction. Meet students, researchers, industry leaders and key stakeholders as they share innovations to strengthen sustainability, food security and national resilience. Plus, explore exciting exhibitions from sponsors and partners driving Jamaica's agricultural future. Don't miss the Research Day 2026 broadcast during Cliff Views Online with George Davis, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. this Thursday, March 26. Catch the live stream on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2 or keep your station locked to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the College of Agriculture, Science and Education.
It's hard-hitting. It's riveting. It's the much-talked-about cover story during Nationwide at 5. Here Cliff Hughes get to the heart of the story of the day. Cover Story aired 5:30 weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Nationwide at 5. Talk radio at its best. Cover Story.
Cover Story is brought to you by JTA Credit Union, serving our members, impacting lives positively.
Multilink, roll with control. Use Multilink, safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, JABEM rejects the government's proposed beach access and management policy framework as a colonial and capitalist instrument of dispossession.
Jamaican beaches, our quays, our rivers, foreshore are the birthright of the Jamaican people. And this document fails to recognize that.
The Department of Correctional Services says there's been a steady decline in criminal reoffending in Jamaica.
Convicted serial rapist shot dead during an armed confrontation with the police.
Defense attacks the Crown's main witness at in-Klansman gang trial, suggesting he's a pathological liar.
Prime Minister calls on churches to help repair the country's decaying social fabric.
Violence is being reinforced as acceptable in our society, and it is having an impact on our productivity. It's also having an impact on our economic prospects.
In news from the rest of the world, Jamaican police officer in Turks and Caicos held after ammunition found in luggage.
Jury finds Bill Cosby guilty of 1972 sexual assault, awards victim more than $19 million.
In sports, boys and girls champs to get underway in 16 hours time with KC and Heidel aiming to defend.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the FID says certain cases of fraud highlight a vulnerability within the banking sector. It says criminals are actively exploiting established customer accounts to move illicit proceeds into the formal financial system. FID's Chief Technical Director Dennis Chung will join us.
In the nation's business at 6:25, the battle for supremacy at the 116th Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championship is set to begin on Tuesday at the National Stadium, which will see over 100 schools competing across 88 events. You'll hear more.
Taking you around the world at 6:45, Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown has announced that the country will hold general elections within the next 90 days. You'll hear from senior reporter at ABS TV Radio, Alicia George. And at 7, it's the comments section with Shalois Michael and Mahiri Stewart. This evening, they're asking, what's your reaction to changes that will open up beaches to the public? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile. Nationwide 90FM, RevoNews.ai, and on the Revo News app, it's available on Google Play and the App Store. This Monday afternoon, it's Monday, March 23, 2026.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. The Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement, JABEM, is forcefully rejecting the government's proposed beach access and management policy framework as a colonial and capitalist instrument of dispossession. The document outlines the government's strategic proposals for updating the country's legislative framework governing public access to the nation's beaches. But JABEM's president, Dr. Devon Taylor, argues that it strips Jamaicans of their inherent right to the coastline. Shalois Michael reports.
The long-awaited proposed beach access and management policy framework was tabled in the House of Representatives last Thursday. It follows years of protests from civil society groups and ordinary Jamaicans who've been very vocal about the erosion of the long-held right to freely access public beaches. Among other things, the proposed policy will give the public legal right to access the beach and the sea areas for recreational purposes, even in front of private properties under certain circumstances. But JABEM is not pleased. According to its president, Dr. Devon Taylor, the policy is more or less the same as the old framework.
JABEM appreciates the government of Jamaica recognition that the Beach Control Act of 1956 is outdated and must be replaced. However, after careful review, we find that the policy deepens rather than breaks from historical system of colonial and capitalist dispossession that have denied the Jamaican people sovereign access to our own coastline. Jamaican beaches, our quays, our rivers, foreshore are the birthright of the Jamaican people. And this document fails to recognize that.
Under the framework, people accessing the beach for recreational purposes in front of private property must have a due regard to the rights of the property owner to peacefully enjoy the use of their property. The relevant public authorities can also restrict ecologically sensitive coastal areas to allow for restoration, rehabilitation, and conservation. In relation to man-made beaches, the construction of such beaches must be authorized by the Natural Resources Conservation Authority, but the public shall have no right of access to these. For beaches near hotels, such operators are required to establish a beach pass system that facilitates public access. JABEM argues that the limited or forbidden access to the island's beaches is too rigid.
We do not agree with qualified rights. We do not agree with the alienation of the foreshore and artificial beach construction that gives us no right. We do not agree with hotel pass system because these represent access sold back to the Jamaican people. We do not recognize the overwater bungalows because they are appropriation of the sea, and what they attempt to do with the Prescription Act in this document and the fishing beaches, trying to convert them into commercial operation instead of maintaining fishing beaches as historical commons.
Dr. Taylor is calling on the government to withdraw the document.
This document, you can't amend it. You have to withdraw it. A policy that qualifies rights and enable effective sale of public beaches, promote coastal destruction, elevates private property over public ecology, and enclose the sea for resort capital, and fails to protect fishing communities is not a policy that serves the Jamaican people. Return to the drawing board with all the Jamaican people at the center, where we will come up with a policy whose foundation is in fundamental and inherent unfettered rights of the Jamaican people to the ecological heritage of the nation.
Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
There has been a steady decline in criminal reoffending in Jamaica. This is according to new figures from the Department of Correctional Services, DCS, on the continued progress in rehabilitation and reintegration efforts. The data shows that last year, just over a quarter of individuals were readmitted to a correctional facility. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
According to the data in a release on Monday, the Department of Correctional Services, DCS, recorded 153 offender readmissions out of 575 total admissions in 2025. This translates to a 27% readmission rate. This marks an improvement from 2024, when 162 offenders were readmitted. The downward trend continues from 194 readmissions in 2023 and 207 in 2022. The figures represent a significant reduction when compared to 2016, when 384 offenders were readmitted to correctional institutions. While overall admissions have also declined over the years, the DCS says the consistent drop in the number of offenders returning to custody highlights the growing effectiveness of its rehabilitation programs. Despite readmission rates fluctuating between 25 and 30% over the 2016 to 2025 period, the department noted that the actual number of returning offenders has steadily decreased. The lowest rates, 25%, were recorded in 2018 and again in 2023. The DCS attributes the improvements to expanded interventions focused on behavior change and reintegration. These include educational programs, vocational training, counseling, and spiritual support aimed at preparing inmates for life after release. Commissioner of Corrections Rod Mason says the data underscores the value of sustained investment in rehabilitation. He noted that each reduction in readmissions reflects the potential for transformed lives, stronger families, and safer communities, while acknowledging that recidivism remains a complex issue. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
A convicted serial rapist was shot dead during an armed confrontation with the police on Saturday. He's identified as 48-year-old Dwayne Brown, otherwise called Flex. The incident took place at Walker's Avenue in Portmore, St. Catherine. Brown was shot and injured during the confrontation, after which he was transported to Spanish Town Hospital where he was pronounced dead. A Taurus pistol was reportedly taken from the scene. Brown was previously convicted and sentenced for several charges of rape and sexual assault. His convictions began in 2007 when he received a suspended sentence of 3 years for carnal abuse. Brown was then sentenced to 15 years imprisonment at hard labor for rape and 2 years for indecent assault in 2010. He received a 5-year imprisonment sentence in 2011 for carnal abuse, which ran consecutively with his 15-year sentence. But even after serving time in prison, Brown's crimes did not cease. Between March 3 and 19 this year, Brown reportedly raped 3 girls in St. Catherine. It's reported that on each occasion, Brown would offer the girls a ride to school while posing as a taxi operator. He then took the girls to an undisclosed location in Portmore to carry out his assault. Brown's death was reported to the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM.
Meanwhile, data from INDECOM show that 74 people have been killed by the security forces since the start of the year. It's 2 fewer than the 76 individuals killed in the corresponding period last year. So far in March, 21 people have been killed in confrontations with the police. 28 of the 74 were shot and killed in January alone. 23 were recorded in February. A heated clash over the credibility of a key prosecution witness took center stage in the Supreme Court on Monday during the ongoing Klansman gang trial. The defense suggested the Crown's main witness, a self-confessed gangster, may be a pathological liar. Robian Williams reports.
The suggestion came during cross-examination of the lead investigator. Defense attorney Paul Gentles challenged the reliability of a man whose statement forms a critical part of the case against 2 of the 25 accused men. The defendants, Michael Wildman and Lamar Rowe, are both charged in the April 2020 murder of William Christian and the wounding of a man. Gentles asked the witness if he knew what a pathological liar is. The witness replied, "Yes, sir." Gentles went further, suggesting that the Crown's key witness is a pathological liar. The prosecution immediately objected, arguing that such a determination was not within the remit of the investigator, but for the court to decide. The trial judge Dale Palmer agreed, adding that, to say that the witness is a liar, it's really the tribunal of fact who would determine that. The defense has been attacking the credibility and motives of the witness, whose statement led to the charges against Wildman and Rowe. The witness confirmed that the statement obtained spanned approximately 9 typed pages and was signed, but acknowledged that no caution was administered before it was given. The investigator also admitted he made no checks into the man's criminal background before relying on his account. Despite that, the investigator confirmed that the accused men were charged based on the statement. Defense counsel pressed further, suggesting the witness may have been motivated by personal benefit. This includes the possibility of a plea deal, and questioned whether prisoners might fabricate information. Counsel asked, "You will agree with me that prisoners lie?" The witness answered, "Yes, sir." Counsel questioned, "And in instances they lie in an attempt to derive a benefit?" The detective responded, "I don't know of that, sir." The detective maintained that the statement was given voluntarily, adding that there was no form of solicitation on his part. Further scrutiny revealed that the investigator did not verify the truth of the statement before laying charges, a suggestion he rejected when put to him. In a separate line of questioning, the court also heard that the investigator removed a bag belonging to the deceased from the crime scene before the forensics team arrived. Defense counsel Denise Hinson asked, "So you disturbed the crime scene?" The witness conceded, "I removed the bag," explaining that his decision was based on the contents of the bag, the magazine of a licensed firearm. Meanwhile, the investigator denied that any trade-off was offered to the witness in exchange for his statement. The trial will continue on Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
5:15.
1, 2, 3, boom. Green light. You mean red light? Green light. Everything easy and instant when you click the chatbot icon on the CNWJ Credit Union webpage. Say what? Just become a member of CNWJ Credit Union. You can save, make deposits, and get loans. Speaking of loans, once you become a member, you can instantly apply for a loan right there online and have the cash in your hand within 24 hours.
We are chatbot.
No, chatbot.
Conditions apply. CNWJ Credit Union. Discover the benefits of belonging.
Ew! Baby, you sick? Drink this.
Strong back tonic wine. But baby, you look like you want to sort out.
You think that's all Trangback good for? This delicious tonic wine has natural ingredients like Busy, Medina, Moringa, and more to strengthen your body so you can fight off anything, including viruses. Wait, sound like you, Ketch. Available island-wide, all foreign.
Order at 876-788-9803 or IG at Trangback TW.
Trangback.
Straighten your back for make the attack.
Continuing the news, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the decaying morals and values in Jamaica are negatively impacting the country's economic future. He's calling on the church to help the government strengthen the country's social fabric, which he says forms part of the government's transformation agenda. The Prime Minister was speaking at the 50th anniversary celebration service of the Deliverance Evangelistic Association at the Faith Cathedral Deliverance Center in Kingston on Sunday. Calicia Wright reports.
According to the Prime Minister, there's a decay of morals and values in the society. Dr. Andrew Holness told congregants at the Faith Cathedral Deliverance Center that the decay coupled with a prevailing culture of violence is a growing burden on the country's growth and productivity.
Violence is being reinforced as acceptable in our society, and it is having an impact on our productivity as a people. And ultimately, therefore, it is having an impact on our ability to grow as a society and as an economy. Our attitude to authority is also having an impact on our economic prospects. The value of earning, working for what you want, that value every day is being destroyed.
Noting that repairing the moral fabric of the country is a challenge, Prime Minister Holness called for greater partnership between the state and the church to address the issue.
The church plays an indispensable role. Jamaica's progress, our growth, our stability, our resilience depends not only on what we build physically, but on what we build spiritually and socially. And that is why partnerships between the state and faith-based organizations remain so important. Government can provide policy, government can provide resources, government can create opportunities, but it is institutions like yours that shapes hearts, influence behavior, and sustain the spiritual needs of communities. And that partnership must continue.
According to Dr. Holness, even in the face of criticisms, government leaders must enter the social conversation about morals in the country.
Governments and leaders like myself must also enter the conversation, regardless of how we will be attacked for doing it. There was a time when the view was that maybe the government should stay out of these issues. There are social issues and the society will find its equilibrium. It will find its right balance, because whenever you're trying to direct what is moral, you always get into the issue of, are you trying to gain political advantage? And I have, in my own leadership of the country, tried not to get too much into the social issues, lest we be accused of trying to seek political advantage.
Khaleesi Wright for Nationwide News.
Member of Parliament for Western Hanover, the PNP's Heather Miller-Bennett, says she hopes the government's planned projects for the parish will soon become a reality. She was reacting to the raft of development projects slated for Hanover, announced by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness on Thursday.
I welcome the announcement by the Prime Minister. It is good for the parish. And this was announced in 2017 as well. And again, years later, it was announced, and now 2026. So I do hope that it is not just an announcement, but will be put in action, the development for the parish.
Among the plans announced by Prime Minister Holness is to advance the Hopewell and Lucy bypasses. He says this road development will unlock the entire waterfront stretch between Montego Bay and Negril as prime resort land. The Prime Minister also announced plans to turn Lucy Harbour into a premium boating destination. MP Miller-Bennett says other tourist attractions as well as roads in the parish are also in need of attention.
In terms of other infrastructure that needs to be done, road rehabilitation in many of our roads are in a really bad condition. Some will require more than patching. It requires total rehabilitation of some of our main roads and the development of some of our attraction sites, including Fort Charlotte that he mentioned, as well as Dolphin Head Mountain and other major sites. So yes, I welcome the announcement and I will hold the Prime Minister to his promise to Hanover.
That's Heather Miller-Bennett, MP for Western Hanover.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
A Jamaican national serving in the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands police force was arrested over the weekend after several rounds of ammunition were discovered in his luggage at the airport. The ammunition was reportedly found concealed in the policeman's suitcase during routine security screening at Howard Hamilton International Airport. Airport security personnel alerted authorities, prompting police to launch an investigation. A subsequent search of the officer's residence led to the discovery of additional rounds of ammunition. The policeman, who is a former member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, had recently joined the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force.
A civil jury in California has awarded a woman $19 million in damages after finding Bill Cosby liable for sexually assaulting her in 1972. After a nearly 2-week trial in Santa Monica, jurors found the 88-year-old actor liable for the sexual battery and assault of the victim. Jurors awarded her $17 million in past damages and just over $1 million for future damages. Cosby's attorneys say they intend to appeal the verdict. It comes nearly 5 years after Cosby was freed from prison in Pennsylvania when the Supreme Court threw out a criminal conviction based on similar allegations. In her lawsuit, the victim says Cosby invited her to his stand-up comedy show. She said Cosby gave her wine and 2 pills believed to be aspirin, which caused her to lose consciousness. The woman says she then woke up in her house without majority of her clothes except her underwear.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the decaying morals and values in Jamaica are negatively impacting the country's economic future.
JABEM rejects the government's proposed beach access and management policy framework as a colonial and capitalist instrument of dispossession.
Jamaican beaches, our quays, our rivers, foreshore are the birthright of the Jamaican people. And this document failed to recognize that.
There's been a steady decline in criminal reoffending in Jamaica.
Convicted serial rapist shot dead during an armed confrontation with the police.
I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at revonews.ai and on the Revo News app. It's available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Unlock winnings, unlock value, unlock postpaid with Digicel. Sign up for your postpaid plan now, win $1 million. When you sign up and unlock postpaid with Digicel, you can win up to $1 million and more. Just sign up or switch to postpaid, upgrade or activate an add-on in the My Digicel app. Pay your bill in full on time and you can win an iPhone 17 Pro Max every week. A bill write-off up to $10 grand, a grand prize of $1 million. Unlock winnings with Digicel. Better connected. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply. Promotion valid from February 6 to April 4.
Join Cliff Hughes Online this Wednesday, March 25 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from the Jamaica Conference Center in Kingston for the PIOJ and SDC Governance Conference 2026 under the theme Civil Society Organizations on a Mission, Reset the Vibe, Build Our Future, Reignite the Fire. This event will unite over 300 community leaders, civil society organizations, and community-based groups. This is more than a conference. It's a movement to empower citizens, ignite change, and build stronger, more resilient communities. Don't miss it live with Cliff Hughes Online this Wednesday, March 25 from the Jamaica Conference Center. Catch the live stream on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2 or keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Planning Institute of Jamaica.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. We start with news on track and field. The 115th staging of the biggest high school track and field meet in the Western Hemisphere is set to get going on Tuesday. Over 2,000 athletes from 107 boys and 100 girls schools will descend on the National Stadium facility over the next 5 days to battle for supremacy. The National Stadium was abuzz with activities when Nationwide Sports visited the facility on Monday, the eve of the championships, with final touches being put on almost every aspect of participation at the event. There was a steady drizzle when we arrived, which slightly affected the movement of the workmen who were on hand. The track looked in very, very good condition. The activation of the various stands inside the facility were fully underway to include the athletes' mixed zone and the refreshment stands. The finish line clock was already in place. As usual, the Stadium East was transformed into Tent City, resembling a campsite where the various schools will set up their base for the duration of the championship. In the middle of the field, there's a canteen where the athletes and their support staff will be fed. Members of the Tatius Golding High School team arrived in Kingston mid-afternoon and quickly made their way to the facility to get in a final training session. Kingston College are defending boys champions after scoring 293 points last year for their 36th hold on the crown, while Hydel will be back to defend the girls' title after scoring 277 points last year. They beat rivals Edwin Allen 266 and Homo Technical 230. Corey Bennett is coach of Hydel, and he told Nationwide Sports that the team will take it day by day as preparations leading into the championship had not gone smoothly.
We expect us to be competitive. We won't be a pushover, that's for sure. We don't like to make excuses, but we're not as ready as we would want to be honest. But we can go there to engage in a proper battle and competition. So we're expecting to be at our best on the days. Not sure where that will carry us, but we're trying to be competitive on the days.
Bennett, when asked if that means he doesn't have a winning unit, had this to say.
I doubt it, but nevertheless, everybody starts at zero. But I'm highly doubtful that we can retain, but nonetheless, we're going out there to fight. It may mostly come from our classes 1 and 2, especially the class 2. I think we have some persons who are repeating the class who did fairly well last year, who are expected to come back and give a good account of themselves.
Football now. Two of the hottest players in the local Premier League, Nikele Fuller of Tivoli Gardens and Nicola Ellis of Racing United, have been added to the national senior football team ahead of the Interconfederation, the FIFA playoffs for the World Cup in Mexico later this week. Both players have already represented the national team. In fact, both have a goal apiece for the national team. The squad resumed activities on Monday with an activation and pool recover session following the arrival of most of the players on the island on Sunday. The light session was designed to aid recovery and maintain fitness levels after travel, as the technical staff continue to fine-tune the group ahead of departure. In fact, they're scheduled to depart the island at 6 o'clock. In fact, in another 30 minutes or so via charter flight into Monterrey in Mexico. Leon Bailey, Ronaldo Cephas, and Isaac Hayden are the players who have not yet joined the squad in Jamaica. In fact, they'll travel directly from Europe into Central America. Jamaica is set to face New Caledonia on Thursday, and the winner of that tie will take on Democratic Republic of Congo on 5 days later on March 31, and the winner of that tie will then bag a spot to the World Cup finals to be jointly hosted by Canada, Mexico, and the USA. Some cricket news now. The West Indies will be aiming to avoid a sweep when they take on the world number 1, Australia, in just about now. In fact, they should be taking the field just about now at Arnos Vale in St. Vincent, and this will be for the third and final game in their 3-match T20 International Series. The Windies have already lost the series, having suffered defeat in the first 2 games. However, the captain, Hayley Matthews, is very impressed with the support that they've been getting in Vinceland, and she says the team is motivated, if only to repay the support of the local spectators.
Really appreciating the support here in St. Vincent. At the same time, we're obviously coming up against the number 1 ranked team in the world, so it was always going to be a tough challenge for us. So I think the small improvements certainly are showing a lot of positive signs, and yeah, we'd really love if we could get that win for the last match of the series and make the Vincy fans happy.
As captain of the West Indies women's team, Hayley Matthews. That's sports. We're going to be back though at 6:05 with much more. Alaric Swaby will be your presenter.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:32.
Upgrade your drive with Hyundai and Scotiabank. 4.99% interest, 0 fees, and 1-year insurance free. Choose from the Hyundai Venue, Palisade, Tucson, or Creta. Visit Kingston or Montego Bay showrooms. The temperature by Hyundai is
24 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital. Kingston is 27 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Remember the first time, the first glance, the first touch. This Easter weekend, rediscover that feeling at Couples Resorts. Escape to a couples-only all-inclusive paradise with gourmet dine-in, premium cocktails, and unforgettable ocean views, all included. Jamaican residents can celebrate your Easter escape with exclusive rates from $405 USD per night, valid through April 30th. Visit couples.com/residents. Couples Resorts, like the first time, every time.
Gee, you know say Mike no come.
Hold on.
No, sir. That sound like consumption.
What that?
Tuberculosis, aka TB.
Now all time something like that. After nobody not get that again.
So you think TB still the boat?
If you have a cough for more than 2 weeks with fever, night sweats, and weight loss, go to your doctor or health center and get tested now. Let's be vigilant and stop the spread of TB infections. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Whether you're buying your very first home, purchasing a more spacious home, or securing an investment property, a JMMB Bank mortgage gives you the confidence to take the next step. Enjoy low interest rates, competitive processing fees, a 1-month payment holiday available upon request, and exclusive merchant partner discounts to help you get move-in ready. Your dream deserves the right support. JMMB Bank Mortgage, you can do this. We can help. Speak with a mortgage specialist today at 876-998-JMMB or visit jmmb.com. Conditions apply.
Join Cliff Hughes Online this Wednesday, March 25 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from the Jamaica Conference Center in Kingston for the PIOJ and SDC Governance Conference 2026 under the theme Civil Society Organizations on a Mission, Reset the Vibe, Build Our Future, Reignite the Fire. This event will unite over 300 community leaders, civil society organizations, and community-based groups. This is more than a conference. It's a movement to empower citizens, ignite change, and build stronger, more resilient communities. Don't miss it live with Cliff Hughes Online this Wednesday, March 25 from the Jamaica Conference Center. Catch the live stream on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2 or keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Planning Institute of Jamaica.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere, spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Musliston Radio. This is Nationwide at 5. I'm Tyrone Reid. It's a slightly wet one outside, yeah, and the traffic was a little terrible on my way in today. Top of the afternoon to you if you're listening on the 90 FM band, and of course if you're just joining us over there on our YouTube channel as well, we welcome you Nationwide at 90 FM Live 2. Inside the cover story this afternoon, we want to turn our attention to the FID warning against bank fraud and money mules. The Financial Investigations Division, that's the FID, has arrested and charged 3 people in connection with a multi-million-dollar bank fraud and suspected money mule operation. The division made the announcement earlier today. Here's Mahiri Stewart with the details.
Charged are 24-year-old Ashanti Johnson, 37-year-old Kevin Bentley, and 54-year-old David Brevet. They were arrested and charged under the Proceeds of Crime Act, the Larceny Act, and the Cybercrimes Act after coordinated operations by lawmen between March 17 and 19 across Kingston, St. Andrew, and Clarendon. The operations were conducted by the FID in collaboration with the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Specialized Investigations Branch, as well as officers from the St. Andrew South and St. Andrew North Police Divisions. The three were offered station bail and are scheduled to appear in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on April 10. Investigators allege that the accused participated in a criminal scheme involving unauthorized access to bank accounts and the transfer of funds into accounts maintained by the suspects. They say this type of activity reflects a common pattern in financial crimes in which proceeds obtained through fraud are quickly funneled through personal or business accounts that seem legitimate in an effort to disguise their origin, frustrate investigators, and distance the main perpetrators from the stolen funds. The FID says the case also highlights a vulnerability within the banking and wider financial sector where criminals actively exploit established customer accounts, digital banking channels, and the appearance of ordinary transactions to move illicit proceeds into the formal financial system. Once criminal funds are deposited into legitimate accounts, they may then be withdrawn, transferred onward, split across multiple accounts, or used in other transactions designed to conceal the money trail. In many cases, the account holder is either a willing participant or someone who has been manipulated, recruited, or deceived into acting as a money mule. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Thank you so very much for that report there, Mahiri. In the meantime, the FID is again warning persons not to allow their bank accounts to be used to receive, move, or withdraw money. It's important that people remember that warning from the FID. It's urging young professionals, job seekers, and unemployed persons to be especially cautious. It says criminal networks often target people with promises of easy money, part-time payment, processing work, or requests to help move funds using personal bank accounts. We're now being joined by the Chief Technical Director at the FID, Dennis Chung. Top of the afternoon to you, Dennis. Welcome once again to Nationwide at 5.
Yeah, man, how are you doing, Tyrone? Long time.
Not too shabby, man. Yeah, man, great hearing you. Now, Dennis, one of the first things that jumped out at me is this terminology, money mule. Let's begin there. What's a money mule, and what's the rate at which we're seeing these money mules in operation?
Well, a money mule is someone who is used as really a conduit to carry, to transfer illicit funds. So it could be someone who, in this case, you're using their bank account, for example. I mean, they're not the person who actually committed the crime, but they are used, whether willingly or unwillingly, to actually clean the funds. You hear about drug mules also, where people who actually carry drugs, the people will be transporting it on the plane, for example. So the mule is really a conduit. And a lot of people fall prey to this. A lot of people willingly, not really knowing what they're doing, fall prey to it. And some people are manipulated into doing it, particularly the younger people who are, they would say strapped for cash or want some cash, and they have the option to go there and open an account. Not many people can, but I'm sorry, not everyone can. Many can, but they, maybe young people just get into work or something like that. They go and open an account, and before you know it, they're being manipulated, and money is being funneled through their accounts.
So money is being funneled through their accounts for illicit means. So basically, and it's a play on the more established term of drug mules.
More established term of what?
Drug mules. So the money mules is a play on that term.
Yes.
How frequent are we noticing that these individuals are being utilized? And is it with their knowledge? Do they know that they are being part of this illicit scheme? They are enlisted to be part of an illicit scheme?
Well, the incidence of money mules is one of the more prevalent crimes that we see, because you see, what happens is that if someone gets illicit money in terms of cash, for example, from a drug deal or a scam or something like that, what they need to do in order to turn that money into legitimate money is to get it into the financial system. The way the controls are set up in terms of know your customer, the suspicious transaction reporting and all of that, it is somewhat difficult for someone to come with illicit funds just like that and put it into the system. So what they do is they try and find persons, some people are even forced to actually do it, because you know how our communities are, our inner cities, right? And therefore what you find is that because criminals want to get the money into the banking system, it is actually one of the more frequent activities that we see. So, and it's not just in Jamaica. I was actually at a conference last year in the UK, and the topic of money mule was a big topic, because you see, criminals have to find a way to wash that money to get it clean. And the best way to do that is to introduce it into a bank account, a legitimate bank account into the system. Because if they were to do transfers, for example, from overseas, going to a remittance.
We lost you there, Sir Dennis. We lost you at if they were to do a transfer.
Right. If they were to try and do a transfer from overseas, for example, so they get some cash from overseas or through an illicit scam or something like that, or a drug thing, and they're trying to wash that money. If you go to a remittance company, you have to explain where the cash come from.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to a legitimate bank, you have to explain where the cash come from. So the easiest way for them is to find someone who is already legitimate, where there's a business, right? And a business, I think, might be better because it has more cash flows, or an individual in the community, right? And say to them, here's some money, lodge this money for me, right? And some of the times what they'll do is try and break it up. You know, so if you have $1 million, for example, you might do 100 today, 200 tomorrow. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you break it up. So that is really the best way for them to get it into the system. Try and find a legitimate source to get it in, so they don't have to explain the source.
You did say that you got wind of the money mules and how they were operating outside of Jamaica in other countries at a recent conference. I want to talk about that a little more when we come back from this break. We're talking to the boss of the Financial Investigations Division, Dennis Strong. We take a break and come back with more.
Access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Remember the first time, the first glance, the first touch. This Easter weekend, rediscover that feeling at Couples Resorts. Escape to a couples-only all-inclusive paradise with gourmet dine-in, premium cocktails, and unforgettable ocean views, all included. Jamaican residents can celebrate your Easter escape with exclusive rates from $405 USD per night, valid through April 30th. Visit couples.com/residents. Couples Resorts. Like the first time, every time.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Nationwide at 5. We are talking with the boss of the Financial Investigations Division, the FID. That's Dennis Chung, and he's telling us about the prevalence of what is being described as money mules. Yeah, a phrase, of course, that plays on another term, drug mules. And he's explaining also that the FID is warning against banking fraud, and that these individuals are being enlisted by persons who are not on the up and up. Yeah, they're involved in illegal activities, and they're trying to inject the cash they've earned from their illegal operations into the banking system, and they are going the route of using what is now being described as money mules. So the word that must be out on the street is don't be a money mule. Yeah, we have Dennis Chung back with us. Dennis Chung, you did mention that you the term was a topic of discussion at a recent conference you attended. What are you learning, or what did you learn, and what can you share with us about what's happening in other countries? How prevalent it is? Is it a major problem on the international stage, money mules?
Yeah, it is. It is a big problem. It's actually the preferred way for them to move money and move drugs is to use legitimate persons. And the reason why it is like that, Tyrone, is that remember that Jamaica is a part of the global standards, FATF, right? Financial Action Task Force. It's separated into regions, so we are under the jurisdiction of CFATF, which is Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. But the standards are the same globally. So what does that mean? That means that whatever we find in our POCA, for example, Proceeds of Crime Act, or our legislation, is pretty much consistent throughout the world. So therefore, it means that the controls that are on the financial system are pretty similar. So what does that mean is that the criminals will face the same hurdles in every country, right? So therefore, you'll find that the crimes that are committed
are similar
globally, are pretty are similar and consistent, and they have the same way of trying to deal with it. So the know your customer, for example, right? I mean, it's pretty much standard throughout the world. The control, the suspicious transaction reporting, and that sort of thing. What will make a difference, for example, is certain cultural differences or volume in terms of scale, you know, or international travel. But pretty much everyone has the same problem globally.
Do we need any amendments to the present suite of legislations to accommodate this money mule, this new terminology that we're looking at, or do we have sufficient clauses in the law to deal with them?
You know, I think we have sufficient things in law. There are some things that's been put in place now. So, for example, in Jamaica, what we call the Virtual Asset Service Providers legislation, which is BASP. So, you know, the big thing now is cryptocurrency, which is a huge way that people are trying to move money globally now to virtual assets. And I know the minister is now putting in place that legislation. It is already in the more developed countries, but you see a trend towards that, right? But pretty much in terms of the controls that we have are there. And I tell you, Tyrone, as we always say to people will believe that they're smart and they're getting away with things. But the way the system is set up, the law enforcement agencies actually know about a lot of the things that are happening out there. Sometimes they don't move because they don't have the evidence yet. But once the evidence is there, right, they're going to move. And this is why you see financial crimes is something that takes a while to investigate. So you see there are a few cases that are running for a while, but from time to time you hear about something happening with them. Right? But pretty much the way the system is set up with the suspicious transaction reports and everything, we pretty much know everything that's happening out there with all the illicit things, basically.
I'd ask you if these individuals, if it's your experience of the FID so far, based on the number of cases that you've encountered involving money mules, is it that the majority, the lion's share of these individuals know that they're being co-opted to do something illegal, or is it that they are caught off guard? What is it?
I wouldn't say that most of them are caught off guard. Most of them know what they're doing. We have a practice in Jamaica, and this is where the cultural thing comes in now. So because people are looking for more money, you have people in Jamaica who actually rent their bank accounts out to people. That's a peculiar practice we have
So
here.
they're renting out their bank accounts.
They rent out the bank accounts, right?
You've come across cases like that.
Yeah, man. People rent their bank accounts, and this is why we put the thing in the release to say that people should be careful about how they let other people use their bank accounts, because they will be implicated in the crime also. But people actually rent out their bank accounts, right? Some people are, as I said, in certain inner city communities and are forced to do it, while others do it willingly. Some people are manipulated. I mean, there's a case that you'd have seen recently circulating on the internet where a young girl came from the UK, and her mother is there pleading that she came here, got involved with a guy here, and just meeting him on the internet, and he actually gave her some drugs to carry up in a sneaker.
I saw that case, yes.
Right, so people are manipulated for various reasons, and part of the mandate that we have is awareness, and we are on a campaign to educate people about these things.
And you can't plead ignorance is basically what we're saying to people. So everybody needs to be on their P and their Qs.
You need to be aware.
Yes.
And you know, one of the things we say to people all the while, I mean, moving a little away from the mule itself, but a related thing, is that a lot of people, and I had this question come up as to why the banks, for example, have limits on what people can draw every day. Remember, you know, Tyrone, a lot of the reasons why a lot of people are defrauded in terms of their accounts, you know, online, you know, is because they're careless with their passwords. Right? People lend out their debit card, you know, and that sort of thing. And once your password gets compromised, then it's easy for people to get into it.
Let's take it where the rubber hits the road, Dennis. You did speak about culture, the prevailing culture, in particular in some of our inner cities. What would be the advice from you as the chief technical director of the FID, the boss of the FID, to an individual, a young professional who is approached to say, I want to use your bank account to lodge some money for me? What should be the response of that individual if pressure is being brought to bear on them? I think we've lost Dennis Strong there. We're going to try and make connection to reconnect with Dennis, but the question I want to ask him, listeners and viewers, is because we can talk about this ad nauseum, but what do we recommend that a young professional who pressure is being brought to bear upon this individual by these people within their communities that basically call the shots, these dons, as they like to call themselves? What's recommended that a young person ought to do if they are approached and they are being leaned on to participate in this kind of activity? I'd love to hear from Dennis Strong what would be the recommended course of action for such an individual. Have we been able to reconnect with Dennis? We're still trying to reconnect with the boss of the Financial Investigations Division. That's Dennis Strong. We're talking about money mules, Dennis Strong, you're back with us. Not certain if you heard the question there.
What the response should be.
What is the recommended course of action for a young person who doesn't want to get involved with this, but they're being leaned on?
The response should be, no, you cannot use my account. Go and get your own account. That's what the response should be, because...
And if they're threatened with violence, you recommend they go to the police?
Yes, if they're threatened with violence, go to the police, right? If you have a situation like that, you can come to the FID and report it. That someone is trying to use their account that way. We'll act on it immediately. But no way, because the consequence that you will face will be significant if you get caught up in it. So the response should be no way. And one of the things that we've done, and we just did something last week, Tyrone, we were actually at Excelsior High's Career Day, and a team from the FID, from the legal unit, IT, and our corporate services branch was there educating the youngsters on financial crimes and this sort of thing. So that's an outreach that we're going to continue doing, right? And we're setting that up to educate people from their young. But the advice, if someone approaches you with that, no way. Go and get your own account and deal with that, because the consequences can be too severe.
Right, and which is where I want you to go with the consequences. We need to make it plain to individuals who are usually law-abiding that if they consent, if they fold under the pressure and consent to this, they're staring down the barrel of prison time.
Yeah, so definitely you're looking at prison time, and that's the end of your career. You know, because I mean, it's going to be a drawn-out process, and everyone we prosecute, we have a policy at FID that once you are charged, your name will be published. And that is a policy we have, irrespective of what it is. Once you get to a point of being charged, transparency means that we have to publish a name for everyone.
And finally, my producer had this one for me to ask of you, Dennis. What does this particular case, the one that we used to set up the conversation, reveal about the intersection of cybercrime and traditional financial crime in Jamaica?
Yeah, well, what you're finding now is that more and more crimes are being committed online. And the reason for that is because the banks now most of the transactions are happening online. And also, one of the things to remember is that a fraudster who can access a transaction and commit a fraud online can do it much quicker and more efficiently. So the trend is to go that way. You don't have to now physically appear somewhere or physically get a hold of a checkbook. Once you can get into someone's account by getting the password, right, then it is very easy to transfer money. Right? And that money is already in the banking system. So I have to just transfer it out.
We're quickly running out of time, Dennis, but you did say if someone feels pressured, they can report a matter to the police if they're being approached, or they can come to the FID. Can you just quickly tell us how they can get in touch with the FID?
The FID, if you go to our website, which is fid@gov.jm, then you will see the contact information there that you can use and to get in touch with us. So by email, you can call. We have emails on there if you know anyone individually. You can send an email to people. Send emails to me, right? This is dennis.chung@fid.gov.jm, right?
And the matters will be handled confidentially.
Yes, every case that comes in, every complaint that comes in, goes through the same process, whether we are accepting it or we're saying you need to go somewhere else, because some of them are not suited for us.
We have,
right? But everything goes through the same process. No one person can turn back a case at the FID.
We have to leave it there. Dennis Chung, thank you so much for the time and the thoughts. We appreciate it.
Okay, no problem.
Indeed. The voice there of Dennis Chung is the Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division, the FID. This has been the cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
2 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Nora Gay Banton. The Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement, JABEM, is forcefully rejecting the government's proposed beach access and management policy framework as a colonial and capitalist instrument of dispossession. The document outlines the government's strategic proposals for updating the country's legislative framework governing public access to the nation's beaches. But JABEM's president, Dr. Devon Taylor, argues that it strips Jamaicans of their inherent right to the coastline. According to Dr. Taylor, the policy is more or less the same as the old framework.
JABEM appreciates the government of Jamaica recognition that the Beach Control Act of 1956 is outdated and must be replaced. However, after careful review, we find that the policy deepens rather than breaks from historical system of colonial and capitalist dispossession that have denied the Jamaican people sovereign access to our own coastline. Jamaican beaches, our quays, our rivers, foreshore are the birthright of the Jamaican people. And this document failed to recognize that.
Under the framework, people accessing the beach for recreational purposes in front of private property must have due regard to the rights of the property owner to peacefully enjoy the use of their property. The relevant public authorities can also restrict ecologically sensitive coastal areas to allow for restoration, rehabilitation, and conservation. In relation to man-made beaches, the construction of such beaches must be authorized by the Natural Resources Conservation Authority, but the public shall have no right of access to these. There has been a steady decline in criminal reoffending in Jamaica. This is according to new figures from the Department of Correctional Services, DCS, on the continued progress in rehabilitation and reintegration efforts. The data shows that last year, just over a quarter of individuals were readmitted to a correctional facility. According to the data in a release on Monday, the Department of Correctional Services recorded 153 offender readmissions out of 575 total admissions in 2025. This translates to a 27% readmission rate. This marks an improvement from 2024 when 162 offenders were readmitted. The downward trend continues from 194 readmissions in 2023 and 207 in 2022. A convicted serial rapist was shot dead during an armed confrontation with the police on Saturday. He is identified as 48-year-old Dwayne Brown, otherwise called Flex. The incident took place at Walker's Avenue in Portmore, St. Catherine. Brown was shot and injured during the confrontation, after which he was transported to Spanish Town Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. A Taurus pistol was reportedly taken from the scene. Brown was previously convicted and sentenced for several charges of rape and sexual assault. His convictions began in 2007 when he received a suspended sentence of 3 years for carnal abuse. Brown was then sentenced to 15 years imprisonment at hard labor for rape and 2 years for indecent assault in 2010. He received a 5-year imprisonment sentence in 2011 for carnal abuse, which ran consecutively with his 15-year sentence. And Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the decaying morals and values in Jamaica are negatively impacting the country's economic future. He's calling on the church to help the government strengthen the country's social fabric, which he says forms part of the government's transformation agenda. The Prime Minister was speaking at the 50th anniversary celebration service of the Deliverance Evangelistic Association at the Faith Cathedral Deliverance Center in Kingston on Sunday. According to the Prime Minister, there is a decay of morals and values in the society. Dr. Holness told congregants at the Faith Cathedral Deliverance Center that the decay, coupled with a prevailing culture of violence, is a growing burden on the country's growth and productivity.
Violence is being reinforced as acceptable in our society, and it is having an impact on our productivity as a people. And ultimately, therefore, it is having an impact on our ability to grow as a society and as an economy. Our attitude to authority is also having an impact on our economic prospects. The value of earning, working for what you want, that value every day is being destroyed.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
Every day, Rosie has a glass of fruit drink with breakfast, an energy drink on the way to work, a flavored water with lunch, and 2 glasses of soda with dinner, which adds up to more than 50 teaspoons of sugar a day. And all that extra sugar could bring on obesity. Are we drinking ourselves sick? 71% of Jamaicans support a tax on sugary drinks. Help tackle obesity and protect our children's future. A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
The Leadership Conference of Choice is back. Transform super managers into superior leaders at the Make Your Mark Middle Managers Leadership Conference, Jamaica Pegasus Hotel and online, May 6 to 7. Sponsored by Caledonia Outdoor Advertising, Visual Tech Solutions, Intelligent Multimedia Limited, CIBC Caribbean Bank, and Visual Vibe. Register now for Middle Managers Conference, May 6 to 7 at makeyourmarkgroup.com.
If you've ever called in, shared your story, or got help on this show, then you're already family. Now make it official. Join the nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. We bowl things off with some cricket at sports time. Australia women reached 77 for 2 after 6 overs in the third and final T20 International against the West Indies at Arnos Vale. Opener Beth Mooney 11 and Phoebe Litchfield 15 are the batters back in the pavilion. Georgia Voll 37, Elisa Perry 10 are the not-out batters. The Tourists lead the series 2-0. Now, with just over a week until England's county season begins, there is a problem. The ongoing war involving the USA, Israel and Iran is affecting cricket, causing a shortage of balls for the domestic season. Mahiri Stewart has more.
The county championships will bowl off on April 3, but the number of Duke's balls used for England's county season will be halved for the foreseeable future. Although the Duke's ball uses British leather and undergoes tanning in Chesterfield, it is stitched in Asia. After the stitching process, the balls are flown back to England via the Gulf, which is where the issue lies due to the current unrest in the Middle East. According to Dilip Jajodia, owner of the Duke's ball, he explained that, quote, "We have a major crisis right now with this bloody Gulf War nonsense. We've got to ration clubs by giving them 50% of their balls at the start of the season and then manage the problem. most of the stuff goes through the Middle East, but if you suddenly got rockets flying around, you've got a major problem. End quote. Cricket isn't the only sport being affected by the ongoing war, as Formula One races in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia have been cancelled. Iran's participation in the World Cup is also in jeopardy. Mahiri Stewart, reporting for Nationwide Sports.
Thank you, Mahiri. Now to some track and field, as the 116th staging of the biggest high school track and field meet in the Western Hemisphere gets underway on Tuesday. Over 2,000 athletes from 107 boys and 100 girls schools will descend on the National Stadium facility over the next 5 days to battle for supremacy.
The National Stadium was abuzz with activities when Nationwide Sports visited the facility on Monday, the eve of the championships, with final touches being put on almost every aspect of participation at the event. There was a steady drizzle when we arrived, which slightly affected the movement of the workmen who were on hand. The track looked in very, very good condition. The activation of the various stands inside the facility were fully underway to include the athletes' mixed zone and the refreshment stands. The finish line clock was already in place. As usual, the Stadium East was transformed into Tent City, resembling a campsite where the various schools will set up their base for the duration of the championship. In the middle of the field, there's a canteen where the athletes and their support staff will be fed. Members of the Tatius Golding High School team arrived in Kingston mid-afternoon and quickly made their way to the facility to get in a final training session. Kingston College are defending boys champions after scoring 293 points last year for their 36th hold on the crown, while Hydel will be back to defend the girls' title after scoring 277 points last year. They beat rivals Edwin Allen 266 and Homo Technical 230. Corey Bennett is coach of Hydel, and he told Nationwide Sports that the team will take it day by day as preparations leading into the championship had not gone smoothly.
We expect us to be competitive. We won't be a pushover, that's for sure. We don't like to make excuses, but we're not as ready as we would want to be honest. But we can go there to engage in a battle and competition. So we're expecting to be at our best on the days. Not sure where that will carry us, but we plan to be competitive on the days.
Bennett, when asked if that means he doesn't have a winning unit, had this to say.
I doubt it, but nevertheless, everybody starts at zero. But I'm highly doubtful that we can retain, but nonetheless, we're going out there to fight. It may mostly come from our classes 1 and 2, especially the class 2. I think we have some persons who are repeating the class who did fairly well last year, who are expected to come back and give a good account of themselves.
Meanwhile, a vice principal of Bridgeport High, Malcolm Nelson, has promised a vastly improved showing from his athletes for this year's champs. Bridgeport finished outside the top 20 at last year's championships, and Nelson told the Nationwide's E-Zone that the depth of the squad will ensure they represent across all classes.
They are in full training. I would have been speaking to the coaches, getting a feedback. We're fit, ready, and raring to go. As you know, Champs has become far more competitive because the qualification criteria has really stepped up, which is getting us better athletes overall. Yes. Because the thing is that you have to perform extremely well and be the best of the best to be a Champs. We are part of the best of the best.
Malcolm Nelson. Now to football, as Spanish Town Police and Treasure Beach are locked at 0-0 in the Ray and Never Jamaica Premier League at Draxall. Now, two of the hottest players in the local Premier League, Nicola Fuller of Tyrrell Gardens and Nikhil Ellis of Racing United, have been added to the national men's senior football team for the FIFA Interconfederation World Cup playoffs in Mexico. Both players have already represented the national team and have a goal apiece. The squad resumed activities on a Monday with an activation and pool recovery session following the arrival of most of the players on Sunday. The light session was designed to aid recovery and maintain fitness levels after travel, as the technical staff continued to fine-tune the group ahead of departure. The Jamaican delegation is scheduled to leave the island just about now for Mexico. Leon Bailey, Ronaldo Cephas and Isaac Hayden will travel directly from Europe to Mexico to join up with the rest of the team. Interim head coach Rudolph Speed told Nationwide Sports that he is happy with the squad they have put together.
We work tirelessly for days and days and hours. We monitor every player. We had scouts watching all the players in England. Michael Donaldson was there. We would have watched the player on a personal basis. We would have spoken to some of the players too. I think this is the best squad we could have picked based on all that is available at this time.
Now, Jamaica is set to face New Caledonia on Thursday in a crucial playoff encounter. The winner will advance to face DR Congo 5 days later with a World Cup spot on the line. Now, Andre Price will assume the role of Technical Director for St. George's College effective April 1. It's a homecoming for Price, who starred for St. George's College in the Manning Cup in the 1980s, twice winning the Triple Crown at the heart of their defense. He'll take charge of the under-14, 16 and Manning Cup teams.
I feel privileged and elated as an old boy. You always want to try and give back to your school, so I am glad that the school board and the principal saw it fit to me the opportunity to lead the football program. I am indeed honored. I'm definitely eager and, want to continue the sterling football that has been played at St. George's College.
Price says, though he'll be in overall charge of the program, he wants a strong support cast.
Overall development of philosophy and culture for the school. So I'm willing, and I can't do it alone. I have to have the integration of all the stakeholders at the school. And of course, I also have to have a coaching staff that is going to be willing to permeate the coaching philosophy that I want.
The school last won the Manning Cup 14 years ago, and Price is aware it will take time to get back there.
It's going to be a gradual process, we're going to have to, build a new philosophy, a new culture. We'll have to give credit to my predecessor, Neville Bertispel, who did a wonderful job at the school. But as you know, time has changed and things have evolved, and the way we do things have also changed. So we're going to have to look at the best way that we can holistically develop the program where produce good young gentlemen who can our benefit to society.
Andrew Price. Now for some cheerleading, as the Queen Bees from the Queen School delivered a spirited performance to secure third place in the Level 4 all-girls category at the Reggae Fest Cheerleading Championships held over the weekend at Cedar Grove High School. St. Hugh's High emerged as champions, while St. Catherine High claimed second place. Alias Swaby, who served as a base for the Queen Bees, reflected on the team's performance and the pressure of competing.
I told myself to smile and have fun, and the last thing I thought, I did have fun. The most competitive team was Swans. They're one of the best. Also, Queen Bees.
The championships showcase talents across multiple divisions. In Level 1 Primary, St. Jude's captured first place, followed by Ensom City and Seaview Gardens in third. St. Jude's also topped the Level 2 Primary Division, ahead of Irish Gelly and St. John's Primary. In the high school ranks, Port Antonio High won the Level 3 co-ed category, with St. Mary High second and Heltham High third. The Level 3 all-girls title went to Meadowbrook High, followed by Mona and Eltham High. Level 4 co-ed honors were claimed by Spanish Town High, with host school Cedar Grove High finishing second. The All-Star Division also brought excitement. Phoenix Red won Level 3 Open, while Phoenix Rebels topped Level 4 all-girls ahead of Pretty Poison and Lady Spade. Supreme Dragons dominated Level 6 to secure not only their category win, but also the All-Star Champions and overall Ultimate Champion titles. Grand Champion titles were awarded to St. Jude's Primary, Spanish Town High, and Supreme Dragons. I'm Alric Sribi, and that's your sports.
Commercial spaces for you. Parks and attractions for you. Housing and residential developments for you. Beautiful rental properties for you. Improving quality of life through infrastructure development across Jamaica for you. The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen for you. Brought to you by the Urban Development Corporation.
Nationwide presents Champs 2026 Radar. Edwin Allen boys athletics team has long lived in the shadows of the girls team. However, their boys program is growing in leaps and bounds in recent years. They'll enter the 2026 staging of the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships in good form as they finished second in this year's Central Champs. The team managed to pull together 206 points, 44 behind eventual winners St. Jago. The team got a financial boost ahead of the championships as they received $1 million from the quartet of Javon Powell, Brian Lavelle, Denick Luke, and Delana Kennedy. For Lavelle, this is a small symbol of appreciation to a track program that they are all results of.
I think the program is already there, knowing that we came from that same program as well, and we did really well in high school. So I think it's just for more boys to enroll in the track program. There's a lot of boys on the track program, but I don't think there's enough like a KCR or JC, the numbers, and you have to have numbers to spread across various events to get points at champs. And 89, I don't think we have numbers in most events. It's just like the 100, 200, just the flat events, not really the jumps and the high jumps and those type of events.
In Champs 2025, Edwin Allen boys finished 5th, and the coaching staff and athletes are hoping this year they'll be able to take another step to wrestle with the big boys. Nationwide just presented Champs 2026 Radar.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
From the biggest tracks to the biggest energy, Nationwide keeps it moving. If you love the vibes, come and lock in with us for real.
World boss, leave a prison could stop me.
Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Practice. God me say you watch you off, me practice.
Join Clip Hughes Online this Wednesday, March 25 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from the Jamaica Conference Center in Kingston for the PIOJ and SDC Governance Conference 2026 under the theme Civil Society Organizations on a Mission, Reset the Vibe, Build Our Future, Reignite the Fire. This event will unite over 300 community leaders, civil society organizations, and community-based groups. This is more than a conference. It's a movement to empower citizens, ignite change, and build stronger, more resilient communities. Don't miss it live with Cliff Hughes Online this Wednesday, March 25 from the Jamaica Conference Center. Catch the live stream on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2 or keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Planning Institute of Jamaica.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
What's everyone talking about? It's Front Page in This Morning. Get the issue of the day this and every weekday morning at 7:20 a.m. on Front Page. This Morning. Morning radio the right way. Front Page is brought to you by ABC Electrical for a better choice in the electrical business.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With the Stinger Honey Bee
and Karim Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezone blinddates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:28. Welcome back. Top of the evening to you listeners on the 90 FM band, of course, or viewers over there on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. Welcome back to the program. Now, we're inside the nation's business, and inside the nation's business, we want to turn our attention to ISA Champs 2026. Who are you representing? Yeah, which high school are you rooting for to take home the crown, to be crowned boys and girls champions? The battle for supremacy at the 116th ISA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championship is set to begin on Tuesday, March 24. And I know many of our listeners and our viewers can't wait, yeah? It's set to go up to Saturday, March 28 at the National Stadium. The championships is set to see over 100 schools competing across 88 events with more than 2,000 students participating. Title sponsors Grace Kennedy will be investing a total of $202 million in the staging of this year's championships. According to the company, its direct sponsorship for the event is valued at $108 million. When combined with brand activations and support from subsidiaries Grace Foods, Grace Kennedy Money Services, and First Global Bank, there's an additional $94 million. Joining us to discuss further, our head coach of Hydel High School tracks team, Corey Bennett, the defending champions, of course, and we are also being joined by Keith Wellington. He's the president of ISA. Top of the afternoon to you, evening rather, gentlemen. Welcome to Nationwide at 5. We're now hearing our guest, Keith Wellington. Are you there with us? Corey Bennett, we just lost both of them. We're going to try to reconnect with them. But in the interim, let me hear from you, listeners, viewers, yeah? Who are you representing at Champs? Who are you repping at Champs this year? Who do you think will take home the boys' crown? And who do you think will take home the crown for the girls? Yeah, of course, Champs is a big deal in Jamaica. Yeah, it's a big deal, absolutely, and understandably so. Yeah, we should bottle and sell this thing, man. Boys and girls Champs is a big deal, and rightly so, and it contributes to Jamaica's legendary performances on the track. Yeah, we are known to be world beaters out there on the track. Of course, the fastest time ever run by a man is held by a Jamaican, the icon Usain Bolt. So, boys and girls championships, a big part of that athletics history that Jamaica has. Of course, yeah, our guests are back with us. Thank you, Madam Producer. Of course, our guests are back with us. We have the head coach of the Hydel High School track team, that's Corey Bennett, and of course the boss of ISA, Keith Wellington. Gentlemen, good evening once again. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I hear you're traveling, Mr. Wellington. So let's tell the viewers and listeners that. So if the audio isn't so great, it's because the Issa boss is traveling. I give the first word to you. The 116th staging of the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championship. Should the viewers on television, those who will flock to the National Stadium, are they to expect the usual top quality that Champs usually serves up?
I think they should. I'm expecting them to. As a matter of fact, I'm expecting that we will have probably one of our better champs in recent years as well.
And why do you think it will be one of your better champs in comparison to recent years? Why?
Well, first of all, I think Corey will agree that we need to improve on last year. That's number one. Number two, I think that when you look at the teams this year, especially on the boys' side, I think we may have a few battles to be fought. And individually, there are a number of outstanding individual performances that I expect to lift the roof up for our champs this year.
Absolutely. And head coach of Hydel, you're the defending champions. Give you a chance to throw down the gauntlet here, Coach Bennett. Will you be defending your title?
Well, we'll be at champs competing. In terms of defending it, it's going to be a tall order for us, but, nonetheless, we're able to and willing to go and compete for the championship once again.
And of course, you say you'll be competing, and some would say you're being modest there, Coach, because you're up in the runnings. And of course, my sports people would perhaps tell me that you stand a good chance of defending that title. But in terms of for you, Coach Bennett, what does champs mean for you and for the students under your charge, the student athletes and their participation? What does that mean for you?
I mean, well, champs is the ultimate. I mean, for high school athletes, high school students, who want to go to the next level and who want to represent the school. It's funny because I found an ID in my son's room when I was in high school competing at champs. So it's been a while. I mean, it meant a lot for me as an athlete. And it definitely means a lot for me as a coach to see these athletes go there and it was the best. And sometimes it can change the lives of many persons. So I'm expecting first to go there and just to give us the best, especially those in the last year. I'm hoping that they make good opportunity and good use of it. I mean, Melissa came and they tried so much. So I'm hoping that this is some kind of release for a lot of them to get into college and get on with their lives.
Absolutely, Coach Bennett, you've touched on a rare critical matter there, which I want to bring the Issa boss in on Keith Wellington. We're staging these championships knowing the devastation that a number of schools out west faced. Is there anything on the champs' agenda to look at that in terms of the schools that have been so affected? Is there any way that champs will be looking at what Hurricane Melissa has done to the schools?
Definitely. We would have over the last 3 months tried to pay special attention to the schools that have been affected most. And so a number of entities would have reached out and helped these schools to get back on their feet. From our perspective at ISA, we have decided that we want to target Wednesday afternoon as an opportunity for everyone to support these schools by coming out at champs, going into the bleachers and supporting the 100-1500 meter finals, while at the same time we will, whatever we collect at the bleachers, whatever amounts that are sold in terms of tickets, we are going to put that towards a fund that we have in place to assist the Western schools.
So that's one way we're looking at assisting the schools. Whatever is collected on that day, on the Wednesday, will go towards the schools.
Collected in terms of ticket sales, right.
All right, so you're saying to everyone, come on out on Wednesday and support the Wednesday staging of the boys and girls athletics championships.
Remember, the bleachers is only $500 on Wednesday, so we're simply asking, give a contribution of $500, and that $500 will go towards helping
these schools that suffered so much from Melissa.
Absolutely, and we encourage everyone to go on out on the Wednesday. Yeah, the cost for the bleachers, as you heard it from the Issa Boss, is just $500. It's for a worthy cause. And in terms of records at this year's champs, are there usually prizes associated for those who break records, Mr. Wellington?
Yes, we have had different promotional activities from our sponsors each year geared towards record breaking. I'm not sure exactly what we have in store this year, but I know there's something in on the books that will be done in honor of Dan Webby for anybody who breaks one of the sprint hurdles records. But generally, we also have incentives for persons who break other records.
Of course, the late Don Webby being honored there. Coach Bennett, in terms of for your charges, can you give us any predictions? You see any records falling by any of your athletes?
I would say no, not this year. I think. Hello?
Yeah, man, you're with us, Coach Bennett.
Okay, great. No, I would say no, not this year, but I do see some excellent performances from others. I think the young lady from Holland High School is on good pace and good track to really do something special at chances here. So I'm looking forward to that. I think they, quietly the men's 100 could be special. And I'm expecting the young man from Excelsior and stuff to put on a good show. So, yeah, as much as I'm a coach there, and I'm also a fan of, and I'm expecting to see some good runs, and I expect that the product that Mr. Wellington has continued to produce will once again be of a very high quality. I'd like to concern with the rain, and some real cool breeze that was blowing up last night. So let's see what happens when champ starts tomorrow.
You touched on something there that I'd love to hear both yourself and Mr. Wellington on Coach Bennett. You're a fan of athletics. Do you get a chance to drink in the moment of champs? I mean, you're a part of the competition. So do you really get a chance during the events to really be a fan? I tell you, we're having a little difficulty with the lines. We're going to try to reconnect with our callers. But I'm asking, I wanted to put to Coach Bennett and of course the ISA president. Do they get a chance to really stop and to enjoy the boys and girls championships as fans? Yeah, because I gather you heard it there from Coach Bennett. He's saying, look, we are fans as well as we are coaches, participating, and we have students participating. Bennett is back with us. Coach Bennett, I was asking you, do you get a chance to actually be a fan of the sport during boys champs? No. So how do you try to go back through the event afterwards? How do you enjoy it?
I mean, the truth is that for the last 17 years. I've never even seen a replay on TV. Everybody else have gotten a chance to see it. I guess I'm not really a TV person like that, but I've never gotten a chance to sit down and actually look back at the races. And I definitely don't enjoy it during the championships. If I'm lucky to see one race live, I've seen a lot. But I'm really around by the warm-up track, and that is where, you get a chance to get the kids ready to go there and compete. So no, I don't get a chance to enjoy it at all.
Right. So you just know that you are a fan of the sport and you just have to participate now. Perhaps after you exit the stage.
Yeah, I think from the fan perspective is that I enjoy seeing the kids get joy out of the sport. I think when they come around the back, after competing, and whether they have a lot of joy or otherwise, I think we have to just embrace them because I know they would have given up their best. And I think just the mere fact that track and field can do so much for these individuals. I've seen many persons' lives transformed through track and field, and I'm just able to embrace that and feel good for them.
Absolutely, a lot of lives have have been transformed because of boys and girls champs. You see it as the greatest such sporting spectacle on the planet. There's no equal. Boys and girls champs has no equal around the globe, does it?
I would say no. Even though, again, from a personal perspective, my favorite sport is football. But
you're a good man, Coach Bennett.
Yeah. You know, my Liverpool team not doing too well.
Well, everybody's entitled to one mistake. I'll give you that. Since you support Liverpool.
Well, Barcelona is doing great, and Brazil will win the World Cup. But on that note, I think that, you know, in Jamaica, from a Jamaican perspective, I think that track and field, the Jamaican, is our number one sport, especially to move your lives on. And I think that just from, you know, from an Olympic standpoint or senior track and field standpoint, a lot of persons who came through our high school ranks who are making significantly very good lives out of track and field.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we have the ISA boss back with us. Mr. Wellington, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I was asking our Coach Bennett, and I wanted to bowl that one to you as well. Do you get a chance to be a fan of boys and girls athletics championships, champs as it is called in the streets, knowing that you are the president and you have to see to the overall smooth running of things? Do you get a chance to drink in the moment while you're there as a fan? Do you get a chance to do that?
I'm certainly not as much as I'd love to, but I can't help but getting myself engrossed in some of the special moments.
And you don't get to choose who you want to win as president. That wouldn't be okay, would it?
No, but I'm still the principal of state.
You're still the principal of
state.
So you're rooting for states.
No, I didn't say that. I'm just reminding you that I'm still the principal of state.
Touche, Keith Wellington. But my final one to you before we run out of time, I was putting this one to Coach Bennett while you were offline. The boys and girls champs, it has no equal the world over. Isn't that the case?
Yes, it is. Definitely is the case. I don't think as a high school championship there is any match anywhere in the world to boys and girls champs, neither historically or contemporary-wise.
Absolutely. And of course, you know, we wish nothing but good success. And I give you both the last word to the student athletes who will be participating, those who will be coming on stream to watch, you know, at the events to ensure that everybody's on their best behavior. We give you the gentlemen the last word to encourage folks to come on out to support, to be on their best behavior. Beginning with you, Coach Bennett.
Well, yeah, I mean, just before I go to that, I just like to tell everybody, you know, don't measure your success based on anybody else's measuring stick. Measure yourself based on your goals that you set, and just give up your best. You know, as I always say, Aki Quadagis, or your best is pretty much good enough. And we just ask everybody to do up your best. I hope everybody have an injury-free championship, and I hope that sportsmanship will prevail. I just ask them to just come out. I mean, as Coach Mr. Wellington would have said, it's the greatest product in this side of the hemisphere and probably in the world. And I think we're going to be in for a treat. Let's hope the rain holds up. I hope the cool breeze kind of goes away somewhat. And I hope we really get a good championship. And I hope we have good fan support to enjoy it.
Thank you, Coach Bennett. Keith Wellington.
Yeah, man. Want to say to, first of all, the athletes, I think this is your moment to shine. The good thing about track and field is that every single individual can be a winner. You, as Coach Bennett said, you need to measure yourself against others. Come out, give up your best, and whether your team is going to finish as the overall champion or not, you can be a winner. You can be a winner for your team. To the public, I'd like to encourage you to come out again and support champs like you normally do. But this year, remember, there's the opportunity to offer support to our fellow Jamaicans in Western Jamaica that were so significantly affected by Hurricane Melissa. So we want Wednesday to be a special day. So please leave work early. 4 o'clock the afternoon session starts with the 100-meter semi-final. I'm sure your companies will give you the opportunity to take an hour off so that you can be a champ on Wednesday.
Absolutely. We do lend our support to that call for folks to come on out on the Wednesday. It's for a worthy cause to assist those schools so badly damaged by the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Keith Wellington, he's the president of ISSA. Thank you so much. And of course, we have Corey Bennett, who is the head coach of the Highdale High School track teams. All right. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate the time and the thoughts. All right. That's where we end the nation's business. We take the break right here. And when we come back, we take you around the world.
Persons with disabilities and their caregivers. Register on I Am Able My JCPD, the official digital platform of the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Created in partnership with UNICEF, the online platform makes it easy for you to connect to information, programs, and support. Sign up today at jcpd.gov.jm/IamAble or call the JCPD help desk at 876-447-0444 for assistance. The Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, educating, advocating, empowering.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
You could win a return on your taxes. Pay your taxes with your Sagicor Bank business credit card at Tax Administration Jamaica or online for your chance to be one of 2 lucky winners of $500,000 cash back. Earn an entry for every $100,000 spent on taxes between February 27 and April 15. Plus, enjoy a 1-month payment holiday up to 55 days interest-free and unlimited reward points. Visit Sagicor.com to learn more. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside the segment Around the World. Our focus in tonight's edition of this segment is the Antigua and Barbuda are set to have elections soon. Now, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, has announced that Antigua and Barbuda will hold general elections within the next 90 days. Brown, the country's first prime minister to be elected to 3 consecutive terms, said the timeline for the polls could be sooner rather than later. In a radio program at the weekend, Brown on party candidates and supporters to intensify their mobilization efforts. Of course, he told them to intensify their mobilization efforts. He also urged voters to get registered. The announcement follows recent political developments that analysts say may have strengthened the position of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. Barbados-based pollster Peter Wickham last week suggested that Brown consider calling a snap election to capitalize on what he described as the growing momentum for the ruling party. Brown was first elected prime minister in 2014. He last went to the polls in 2023. Joining us to discuss further is senior reporter, producer at ABS TV and radio, Alicia George. Top of the evening to you, Alicia George. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Good night. Hope everyone's doing well.
We're not too shabby. We're not too shabby. Thanks for making the time to be with us, Alicia George. What's the political climate like in Antigua and Barbuda leading up to this announcement?
That's a very interesting question to ask because currently I wouldn't say that anything had changed. For the past 2 to 3 years, it's really up and down, especially for the opposition. And I think right now people are, they don't know what to do. Because while the Prime Minister did say 90 days, an official date has been given, one, and they have just released the names of the candidates for the 17th constituency, and that would have happened on the weekend. In the meantime, you have the main opposition, United Progressive Party, in shambles, which is what seems to be a recurring theme for them since gathering about 6 seats in the January 2023 general election. So they themselves are falling pretty hard since then. But I think right now people are not into a campaigning spirit. You don't hear it yet. I think that will happen when an actual tweet is given.
How unusual is it in your understanding of the political history? How unusual is it for a sitting prime minister to announce elections within a 90-day window?
It's not unusual. As you know, we don't have term limits here, nor do we have anything that specifies that you must take or must call election at a specific time, as long as it's within the 5-year time frame. It could be a year after, 2 years after. And so oftentimes what you see is that prime ministers would take the opportunity when they think that the opposition is at the lowest to call the election. And I noticed you mentioned Peter Wickham here in the introduction. For the Antigua-Barbuda Labour Party, this might be the most opportune time, because what they saw in the January 2023 election was I wouldn't say little, a significant dip in voter confidence. Because, as I mentioned, the UPP went from, I believe, having 2 seats to 6 seats, plus there was an independent candidate in the late Asif Michael. And so they were really on, as we like to say, their back foot there after January 2023 elections. And unfortunately, the main opposition has made it a little bit easy for the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party to gain more ground. And I think this is the most opportune time for them. And they're taking the advice of Peter Wickham, who they've employed, along with other Caribbean leaders, to conduct polls. And he said, after that by-election in St. Philip North, that if he was the Prime Minister, he would call the election. And very shortly after that, we did hear the Prime Minister say that he's likely to call an election date or an election within the next 90 days. So it's not unusual at all.
I gather, as with Jamaica, Alicia George, the Prime Minister has in-law, is empowered to call the elections at a time he sees fit, of course, with certain guardrails. Has there been any clamor on the ground in Antigua for fixed election dates? Is there any talk of fixed election dates?
There have been talks successively throughout the years. I would say over the past 10, perhaps 11 years, about fixed election dates. The problem is, though, and not just fixed election dates, but fixed election terms, is that when the parties are out of government, they usually push for that kind of thing. However, when they enter government, it's always a different story. And of course, there's also the discussion of how will it be decided? Is it 3 weeks after or before the last general election? I mean, I think it's a conversation that requires some sort of consultation with the people, but it's always been just rhetoric. I don't think, and I don't see in the future that there will be any tangible changes in terms of
Alicia George, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
All right,
Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, it sounds as if you trail off just now, but you're back with us. In terms of the recent polling, we did mention, David, Mr. Wickham, pardon me, in our lead-in to the conversation and what he had to say. The pollster, the Barbados-based pollster, said, David, it's Peter Wickham. In what are the poll results, the latest results, saying about the governing party, public support for the ruling party versus the opposition? What are the latest numbers available to you guys saying?
Right. Well, according to Wickham, the poll was specific to St. Philip's North, but I think it can apply generally as well. And what he was saying is that the opposition leader, Honorable Jamal Pringle, would have amassed only about 15% of voter favorability there in St. Philip North. And the Prime Minister, I believe, well ahead of half of that, 50-something%. And perhaps not surprisingly, the former opposition leader who came back from retirement, Honorable Harold Lovell, had 5% of that vote. And I think what Peter was trying to say is that this may be something that is replicated throughout the constituencies.
And for the ruling party, we are Gaston Brown. Well, no, he wouldn't. It was a constituency poll, is what you're saying.
Correct. Specifically for St. Philip's North.
And that's where the opposition that's the opposition leader's constituency.
No, it's not. So that would have been the constituency of Sir Robin Yearwood, who would have served as an MP for the Antigua-Barbuda Labour Party for 50 years unbroken. So that particular constituency was very significant because nobody else had served the constituency, whether from the ruling government side or the opposition side. And so it was somewhat of a decider seat. People were waiting to see what would happen with the opposition capture that seat, because Sir Robin Yearwood, I believe, won that seat, but Alex Brown, who again went up for St. Philip's North by-election, would have only lost by about 93 votes. So it could have been anybody's race, but it wasn't. So that was a very significant seat. People wanted to see what would happen. And as Wickham would have said, the fact that the Antigua-Barbuda Labour Party supporters showed up showed them, okay, the Antigua-Barbuda Labour Party is in favor, or the electors are in favor of the party. Consequently, in the general election, voter turnout for that constituency was about 72%. In the by-election, it was just about 65%. So it wasn't a very big gap. So it couldn't have been said that, well, it's probably because the opposition voters didn't show up. Because even if they did show up, I don't think it would make a significant difference for Alex Brown.
And so you did say the opposition leader, in terms of that favorability poll, he got 15%. A former leader of the opposition, he said he picked up 5%.
Correct.
And Brown?
Brown was, I believe, 54 or 55%, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so, and I gather that's why Mr. Wickham would have given that advice. All right, well, any final words from you? We are almost out of time. We'll continue to watch this one and to see in terms of voter registration, any uptick, any activity there? People are being registered to vote?
Well, we haven't heard back from the Antigua Electoral Commission yet, because just today when they started sending out flyers urging people to register, but they have been on a re-registration campaign since last year. So persons have been coming in. It started off slow at first, but I suspect within the next couple of weeks that they're going to see an uptick in that registration, re-registration, because people are preparing for that general election. And you kind of could tell that it was coming, because at the last cabinet briefing that we had last Thursday, the government rolled out a slew of what they called cost of living relief measures, which included 0% Antigua-Barbuda sales tax. There was an increase of the minimum wage from $9.50 to $11.50, ultimately having to reach $13 in the future.
We have to leave it there. Unfortunately, we are out of time, Alicia George, but thank you so very much, and hopefully we can pick your brain in the future as we get closer and closer to the time. Thanks so much, Alicia George. Appreciate it. Indeed. And that's senior reporter, producer there at ABS TV. That's where we have to bring today's edition of the program to a close. Thanks to our producer, Dana Davey, our technical operator, Andrew Glenn Anderson, and of course, all the hardworking members of the news and production team. I'm Tyrone Reed saying, have a good evening.
Nationwide presents Champs 2026 Radar. One of the brightest